Dan, thanks very much for joining us. Day 2, at the end of Global Offshore Wind, your 21st anniversary and the biggest ever event that you've thrown so far. How has it been?
A bit of a whirlwind, I must admit. We are, as you say, it's been a kind of a celebration in some respects of the industry because this event's now 21 years old. The industry's been through some ups and downs in that time. But there is a huge sense of optimism and growth, and, for the future of the industry. And I guess the difference, and I made this point when I spoke on Wednesday, was that the industry's, 21's kind of means something for British people at least. It's kind of a coming of age point. And I think now, the way I see it, is that the industry is now right at the centre of the future energy mix. The whole decarbonisation transition plan is very much based around offshore wind being at the centre of it. So that kind of hypothesis that people had, many years ago before this event was started, that this could become a technology that was scalable and could be, competitive, it's very much been proven, and now it's about delivery, and that's been very much, I think, the kind of sense of the last few days.
And that kind of brings me on to my next question, I suppose, about the panel sessions that have been fantastic. The kind of key themes behind that, and you mentioned delivery there. Any other kind of key themes that have come out of them over the last couple of days that you want to kind of touch on?
Yeah, I heard someone described it as like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You've got grid, planning, supply chain, and skills, right? They're the 4 things that we kind of. I mean, there's other stuff as well, right? But those 4 things are kind of crucial. I don't need to go into the details around those things because it's discussed a lot, and actually in the world of energy transition, people are all talking about particularly grid and planning as being crucial things. We've had Arnold Schwarzenegger and Laura Koonsberg talk about it. You don't need me banging on about it. But the interesting thing I would say, when I come back to that point about delivery, is just raising this up, and stop. We need to move beyond as an industry, beyond thinking in projects, acting in projects. And this isn't about us as a sector, it's about the institutions and the government, and moving it up a level to how we work at a strategic, industry-wide, macroeconomic level to solve some of these problems. So, example being on consenting, there's the environmental stuff that, that we've got to make sure that we mitigate the environmental impact. Instead of thinking about that at a project level, how do you do that at a national level? What does that mean for how you plan the seabed? What does that mean for how you interact with CCUS? Or other, just generally other seabed users. And these are the big political choices and trade-offs that are going to be a feature of the industry in the years to come.
Fantastic to hear. You just have to look around. You've had over 5,000 people here today.
Yeah.
God knows how many exhibitors. I think it just goes to prove that the sector is growing at a phenomenal rate. So my final question is around kind of the advice that you would have for the supply chain. If any, if you can kind of give them any words of wisdom to kind of get more involved and learn a little bit more about how to take advantage and capitalize on those opportunities.
Apart from join RenewableUK, you mean? Yeah, it's
obviously.
Yeah, serious point is being part of a trade association matters, and I think RenewableUK very much at the centre of the energy transition. Our Energy Pulse data is our industry database, but it has so much granular detail about who the customers are, who their shareholders are, who they're placing contracts with, what the trends are in the market. So do approach us and engage with our team. We can tell you more about that. I think innovation is vital, right? And just in terms of advice to supply chain, there's a lot of focus at the moment in the UK about how do we build up our industrial benefit? How do we make sure there's a strategy there that supports job creation and meaningful economic impact in the long run? It's not just about megawatts. And for me, that the pathway to that is innovation. We start by having the most competitive, differentiated technologies in the world. And there's loads from oil and gas that we can bring into that, but there's also loads from aerospace, loads from automotive. We can crowd in these ideas, think about how you build something that isn't just, a service that you can provide, but it's something that is so good that you can export and get, real global impact out of. So that's what I want to see Britain do in the supply chain, is make the best, make it the most competitive, and export it to the world.
Dan, thanks very much for talking to us. Congratulations again on your 21st anniversary, a fantastic event, and go and enjoy what's left of it.
Thanks. Cheers, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.